right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Silencio Coffee. I'm here with my friend Fred, and we are going to go ahead and discuss Silencio Coffee. And there's a lot to cover. This is our inaugural, podcast. There is a lot that we want to cover. And of course, we're not going to cover all of it today, but we want to lay down some of the groundwork and let you know where we sit. Before I move ahead with the podcast and talking to Fred, I would ask you basically to like, share, and subscribe, and to check out Silencio Coffee. So it's silenciocoffeeco.com. And also, we're on YouTube. Please tell your friends. Please share. We're on Facebook as well. And we just created a LinkedIn page last night. And we are also on Instagram. So you can find us in all those locations. So I'm going to say hello to my buddy today. Bro, what's up, man?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Yeah, doing well. So this is just basically going to be us chatting. And again, in the live episodes that we will do, we'll take questions. And there are a lot of questions. We did have a lot of people send us, some questions we have answers for. And a lot of this is exploratory. For us, it's really figuring out where we are at as a brand. And who we are. We already know who we are, but where do we want to go? So let's line that up first. Fred, man, do you want to talk about the name? How did we come up with the name, if you recollect, and why did we choose that?
Well, funny you should mention that, because it wasn't a we thing; it was a you thing, Mike. Silencio, you proposed that to me, and I'm like, man, that's brilliant. But basically, I think it kind of ties into our. We're both kind of quiet mannered, low key guys, the quiet professionals, right, of the special operations, I guess, realm, as they say. Both of our backgrounds kind of are very similar in that perspective, but I like enjoying my coffee in peace and quiet, whether it's on the beach watching the sunrise, in the mountains on a camping, on a hike adventure or something like that, watching the sun come up or the sunset, just enjoying the calm, the listening to your inner thoughts and that kind of thing. Tranquility.
Yeah, you're right. The name is basically, Fred and I are pretty much introverts. We're quiet guys. I do force myself to be an extrovert because I believe it's important to help others, to share any knowledge I have, any experience. And also, I don't know everything. I do ask a lot of people. I lean on people who know a lot more than me, whether it's Fred or my dad or my brothers or somebody. Even criticism online on social media is fine for me. But a lot of our background is simply, let's be very clear. Fred and I, we're veterans. But what we don't want is, we don't want to have this thank you for our service mentality. We are a veteran-owned company, but we don't use that as a selling gimmick. Yeah, sure, we love guns. We love, tactical stuff, CQB. We love all that stuff, but that is not our mentality. We don't think because we're veterans that we are great. We think if you do a job, whether it's a janitor or you are a doctor, it doesn't matter. Do your job well, be temperate, be prudent, be a just person. Do your job well, and that's it. And the rest will come. So, would you agree with that, Fred?
100%, Mike. I think that a lot of people out there, veterans, especially some in this world, the podcast world, a lot of them, they lean on their past experiences in the military, whether it's special forces or what have you. It's not really about what you've done before. It's about what are you doing now, or what's on the horizon? What are you doing next? What are you looking to achieve, or what are your goals? That's kind of how I think of it.
Yeah, I do too. And it's kind of funny because I was at the farmer's market and some guy came up and said, what's all this virtue signaling crap? And I was laughing. I'm like, it's not virtue signaling. I'm not selling, Star Trek stuff. I'm not into, Holly Hobby and little dolls and stuff. I'm doing military themed stuff because I like it. So it falls in line with our coffee. We could have did coffee and flowers. It doesn't really matter. It's just something you and I vibe on. But at the end, what's really important and key is we are a Christian faith-based company. So you see on every single bag, and it'll say on all the bags here. So it says, Exodus 14:14. So God will fight your battles for you. All you need to do is remain silent. And I think a lot of that is just really listening to that inner voice. You can call it the Holy Spirit, but this idea of it is really, a lot of times it's just people are talking. And for us, Fred and I, we're very introspective kind of people, very quiet. But we are a faith-based company, and that's not what we're going to push in our brand, it's there. It exists. If you like us, awesome. We would like for you to like us, but we don't want to do that as a selling point just to support us. Again, the second thing is we're a veteran-owned, company, and what's really key is that we want to promote that our coffee is good. A lot of it is coming down to marketing, and if you have a good marketing concept, you can sell. Right? It is very difficult for Fred and me to sell because, number one, we're very quiet people. Number two, we would prefer to remain invisible, and that's kind of hard to do when you want to market stuff. How do you do it without bragging all the time? And so we want to be able to do it with a clear conscience. When I go to bed at night, and I think Fred's the same, he goes to bed at night, we want to think, man, did we do a good job? Did we boast? Did we slam the other guy? Because we don't want to do that either. We want to have this quiet professional attitude. And I want to clarify quiet professional. I was not a Green Beret at all. I was in the soft community, and that is something else we'll cover. I know a lot of people want to talk about our political views or what's going on geopolitically or what's going on, in the country. And we may cover that, we may not. But I wanted to talk about our vibe, which is really professionalism. And the last thing is really, we want you to enjoy our coffee in peace. The marketing, sometimes what you get, and Fred, I want you to expound on this, is great marketing, but the coffee is mediocre. It's garbage coffee. It's not very good. The beans are not good. Ours are quite good. So what are your thoughts on that, Fred?
So about, I don't know, it's probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I found this veteran-owned coffee company, and it piqued my interest because the owners were similar backgrounds as ours. So I ordered 3-pack, and they were three different roasts, and it was very expensive coffee, right? And the shipping back then, the shipping 3 pounds of coffee was $15. I'm like, that's a lot of money to ship, but whatever. So I tried it out, and I was like, I paid. I don't remember what the total was. I paid. It was probably close to $80 or something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. And I was like, this is not great. This is not like a great cup of coffee. And I thought, we could do better. Yeah, we're veteran owned, and that's part of our marketing pitch. However, I just want to make the coffee better and people enjoy our coffee. Like, I want to sell coffee to soccer moms. I want to sell coffee to, engineers and magicians and whoever likes enjoys coffee, good coffee. Yeah, it's great that we have customers that are into the Rambo stuff and shooting and PT and skydiving and all that stuff, and I love that stuff too, just as much as the next guy. But I don't think that should be our sole foundation is pumping that kind of that marketing pitch to people, because some people just don't care about that. They just want good coffee.
Yeah, they do want good coffee, and it's kind of funny at the farmers market. We get all types. At the booth you saw at the last show we were at, I mean, we got people with blue hair. We got people, our former, SEALs and others that have never been in the military, man. They just want to support veteran-owned brands, or like Fred said, they just want good coffee. But they come up, and we don't want to judge anyone, man. I do not want to judge someone because they don't look like me. I want to be able to sell our coffee to anyone. And we want to do it in a way where we are doing it in a thoughtful way. It's really important. And that, again, ties into our whole brand of Silencio, is just me very mindful, to be thoughtful, and to, do some good in the world. Again, we're in the veteran space. Yeah, we like all this cool guy stuff because it's fun. I love all the stickers we make and the shirts that we wear. It's great. But at the same time, the primary thing is we want to offer good coffee. We are offering good coffee, and I will say that we are offering coffee that is very price conscious. We have high quality coffee, and we're not selling you low grade stuff and then marking it up to $24 a bag. In fact, Fred, why don't you talk about this, man? I mean, we were at the Dallas DMV Chocolate Coffee Festival, and we were the most affordable coffee there. Remember?
Yeah. So walking around all the different coffee vendors, there was more than 200 different coffee vendors at this show, and they have fancy, we'll call them bougie kind of packaging, and or not, or really cool looking packaging, different logos and themes, but they're all selling really small bags, usually in the 10 ounce to 12 ounce range, and they're getting more than $25 for that small amount of coffee, where we're selling full 1 pound bags. And I think all of ours roast are under $20. I mean, and I know that prices fluctuate based on the coffee market and the demand, and they may go up a little here in this new year, but um, yeah, we were definitely the most affordable and the
Yeah.
largest amount. Like, I'm a real coffee drinker. I've been drinking coffee for a long time. I drink 2 pounds every month. Like, I don't buy 12-ounce bags of coffee. There's no need for me to do that. It's not cost effective. So
Yeah, I mean, we were very affordable, and I'll tell you right now. I mean, we got these 1 pound bags here, and these are $15, right? Swagger, um, this is 17 right here. All right, but these guys are selling coffee 20, 25, 28,
yeah,
$30 a bag for 10 ounces, and we're a full 16 ounces, and a lot of it is, could we bump it up with inflation? Yeah, we could. We could have did it a year or two ago, but we chose not to. And a lot of that is a strategy. I mean, it is getting our name out there, and people get us confused with other veteran-owned brands, and that's fine because a lot of people don't know anything about the military, and a lot of people who are even in the military are not even aware of other brands, and there's a lot of similarity. Yeah, there's some crossover, but we want to stand out. And again, and we will stand out because we have a lot of goals. I mean, we want to talk about this whole idea of silence and mindfulness and situational awareness. We do want to talk about raising men and leaders, and we're going to do a lot. We'll have guests on here. We are going to have book recommendations, and we're going to have basically just conversation going back and forth with our guests. But let's talk about our product. So this is a gunfighter. Fred gets 2 bags of this a month. He loves this stuff.
2 pounds a month. Yep.
Yep. And this is fantastic. So this is a dark roast, and this is the 5 bean blend. So this is an espresso blend. This is fantastic, and you could find it on our website. I will put the link down below in our YouTube notes. I love the Swagger. This is,
May I
go ahead,
add
Fred.
something? The
Yeah.
gunfighter blend will also make you a better shooter if you're interested in fighting.
That is a fact. That is a fact.
It's science. I researched it.
So the other one is Swagger, and this is my favorite. This is a smoky blend, and it is fantastic. Now, I love this as a cold brew. When I came up with this name, and Fred and I went back and forth, we said, what do you think? I was thinking of my favorites, which is Charles Bronson, Steve McQueen, any of those guys who walked with a certain, attitude, this Alon. That's what Swagger is to me. It's just, the man is a man. That's just the way it is. But Swagger, again, to me, is just fantastic as a cold brew. I drink it every morning at work, and I love it. And then the last one is the Calm Chaos, and this is Fred's doing. Fred came up with that name, and he said that's the name they use in the unit, and I love that name, man. It's kind of like an oxymoron, almost. So this one is the Colombian Mistrato. Fantastic stuff. Thoughts on anything, Fred, that I had mentioned?
Yeah. Wait, one question. We're
Yeah.
not, no more Nirvana. Did we?
Oh yeah. We do sell Nirvana. Thanks for bringing it up. We do sell it.
Like a light roast.
Yeah, that's a light roast. We are out of Nirvana right now. We don't get a lot of orders for it, but we do intend to expand. Fred can talk about the organic, and we do get asked about decaf. But Fred, go ahead, man.
Okay. Yeah. Just to kind of touch on what you mentioned before, that Comcast, man, that's kind of a silly name. It's, you know, basically it comes from running CQB drills, which, if you know or don't, CQB is close quarters battle. A lot of SWAT teams and military soldiers and sailors and airmen practice CQB as a method of clearing buildings. But it's kind of an inside joke, calm chaos, or name escapes me. There's another way to say it, but as far as those 4 roasts, that's what we're running with now. Like Mike said, we don't sell tons of light roast, very rarely, so we don't have a huge inventory of it. But if you're interested in light roast, we can make that for you. Our next couple of roasts we're looking at, we've been getting a lot of requests about decaf. There's people that, for medical reasons, can't drink caffeinated coffee, and that's fine. I won't give you much of a hard time about it, but we will be carrying a decaffeinated bean soon. I have to uh, work with our roaster and do some taste testing, and then we're going to come up with one probably within the next month or so. I would say, if I had to
Mhm.
give a timeline. And then my kind of personal thing is I want to carry an organic roast. I'm very into clean eating and organic, avoiding pesticides and glyphosate and those kind of things. And we can talk more about that. We discuss nutrition and fitness in future episodes, but an organic roast is on the horizon here soon.
Yeah. So he's got some good points about what we're going to do in the future and our goals. So again, talking about our concept and our name, the idea is Silencio Coffee. It's this, as Fred said, it's what you call it, about awareness.
Practical situational awareness.
Right. It's just really being aware. Yeah. Where are you at in life? I mean, so that would be, and we see all the comedy, the tropes with cliches, you get up, you're angry, you want to beat the heck out of everybody until you have your cup of coffee and you chill. But this idea of maybe waking up 15 minutes earlier than usual, right? And you turn off the TV or the radio or your phone or wherever it is, and you take a nice silent walk outdoors, maybe the snow, or on your lunch break. And it's just you and yourself, man. You turn off the radio in your car and you are just really observing everything around you. It's just not Zen, because I don't like that word at all, but that concept is really tied into my sensibility and Fred's sensibility of mindfulness, to know who you are, where you're at, and how you affect things and how things can affect you. I do want to talk about rituals, because we live in this fast-paced modern life. And a lot of times is that we forget the significance of things. We don't think about our daughter's marriage or an impending divorce, or, we get caught up so much in mundane routines that we don't think about the vital role that health plays in our well-being, and how coffee can help us maybe get a good workout or not. But we want to talk about that sense of stability and comfort and connection with other people, connection through eating and through drinking. I mean, there are rituals that are practiced, and people take it very seriously in other cultures. Maybe we lose a sense of it here in a fast-paced world, is to slow down and have these rituals that resonate with people. And there are tea ceremonies, right, in Japan. There are drinking ceremonies in other countries, and I'd like to fixate on that, which is coffee. Coffee is a big deal for a lot of people. It is for me. It is for Fred, which is how that provides a sense of stability for people and this ever-changing, unpredictable world. So I want to talk about that. We're going to talk about down the road, but really to line out our concept and name. Fred, any thoughts?
No, I think you said it all, man. I got nothing to add to that.
Yeah. All right. So it means Fred and I think alike. So what makes us different? We will go ahead and describe that. But what we want to do is not just sell. Yeah. We don't want to just sell coffee, because we do want to sell coffee and make money, but that is not our primary goal. Our primary goal is, yeah, go ahead, man.
Did we come up with a name for this podcast? I still stand by Coffee Talk. I still think it's
okay. Yeah, let's roll with that, man. So let's see what else we got. What makes us different. And let's talk about packaging. So people have asked me about packaging, and we'll talk about bags and stuff. There's a cost to bags. This is what we've got so far. We could do artwork that's on the bags, and man, let's save that for another episode, man. But
I was going to say, when you did, when you were talking it, I thought of it and then I forgot. But I think, in my opinion, we have the coolest. Well, I know we talked about not emphasizing the backgrounds and the militaries. However,
yeah,
I think that's the coolest logo. But that's my opinion.
No, you look, dude, you're right, because we were at the coffee show, and this guy, he came up, and there's chocolate, there's coffee, there's trinkets, cutting boards, things that you would expect at a food show. And he came up and he looked at the booth and he said, I don't know what you guys are selling, but it is the freaking coolest logo I've ever seen in my life. And he's right. It is. When you look at the logo, and it is really basically Fred. I don't know, Fred, if you knew it, but I use you as a model. But it just looks cool, man. It's an operator. And here's the thing, and I don't want to go down this road too much, but there are a lot of people who are talking about operations and missions and all that other stuff, and that's fine. If you want to listen to that and that floats your boat, go for it. But for us, it was just really, man, less of that and more of the coffee. And not to say that we wouldn't talk about some of the things we've done, but let's fixate on the quality of the coffee. And the podcast is really, yeah, it is a marketing strategy, which is to get you to, buy more coffee, right? That's honest. But it's also to do more as well. I mean, why should you consider our perspective, our sensibility versus someone else's who is always talking about everything? Ours is maybe be a little more low key. Maybe if you're a loud person, or maybe if you've got so much distraction in life, maybe our sensibility is better just to withdraw, pull back, get away from the noise, get away from all the garbage that's out there that blinds you, all the glittery things, and maybe chill for a moment. Like Fred. Fred does a lot of hunting. We'll talk about that. He goes in the outdoors, man, and he's living it, and he's able to, dedicate his life to this period of silence. And I think that's good because a lot of noise, is removed when you go out into the outdoors, and that's that intentionality. It's about being intentional about your time, right, man?
Yeah, absolutely. So to get a true appreciation for quiet and peace, spend a day hunting with me, because this past season I just haven't had any luck. I've just been sitting in a lot of quiet and peace, sitting against the bottom of a tree waiting, and just enjoying the peace, drinking my coffee, my Silencio. But my son, he got a couple animals this year, and it's funny because I wasn't with him the couple times he did it, even though we had gone several times together. And then the one time I'm like, I'm gonna sleep late, I'm gonna sleep in today. I'll let you go out, see how you do without me. Sure as heck, he got himself a nice doe this last deer hunt we did together. Same with the pigs. We hunt wild pigs. I hunt turkey. So just had a bad year this year, I guess.
Yeah, I tell you, you just made me remember a story about my buddy Big John. He's like 6'6", He was on the Irish rowing team. I was in Ireland. We went up in hill and dale and all over, and he said, we're going to find this place to fish. And he knew where it was. His farm was letting us fish on his land. So we were walking and walking. Man, this place is forever. Where is this place? And finally, after walking for about an hour, man, we went out into this estuary almost. And it's kind of like a horseshoe where you had to drop down into the cliff, down the cliffs into the horseshoe, and it was sand, but everything else was grass. You would have never seen it from the fields. You had to run out there and then drop down into this horseshoe, and then it was quiet. There's nobody there, and it was just you and the fish, and that was it, man. And I'm like, this place is fantastic. Well, John used to love to smoke one cigarette a day, right? Because he did a lot of exercise, fit guy, did strongman type events, and he just did one cigarette. That was his amusement. So we just fished for hours, man. And one time it was 4 hours, and we didn't talk to each other. That was the most fun I had with John fishing in Ireland. So he would take that cigarette, and he didn't know, but I had stuck an explosive in it, and I knew he was going to smoke it. I'm like, as soon as we caught something, I don't remember what we caught, but caught something. He pulls out that cigarette and said, it's going to happen, man. And you got to understand, it's pitch black out there. It's just moonlight and us. And he lights that thing and it blows up in his mouth. And he didn't scream nothing. He turned around and looked at me and said, you waited 4 hours for that crap, didn't you? I said, yeah, you're right, man. And it was the funniest freaking thing I've ever seen. But it was just this, sense of hanging out with your buddy, chilling, fishing, enjoying the silence, because there's so much noise in Dublin, so much noise in Waterford where we were going and traveling. And it was to go out into the woods and then out to the water and fish. Fantastic. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I fish also. I fished many, many times. Sometimes came home empty handed, but just enjoyed the peace.
Yeah.
Tranquility. Being on the water, watching either the sunrise or the sunset. Yeah. It's beautiful. Helps you clear your mind and gather your thoughts or organize your thoughts.
So Fred, let's get into some of the swag that you might have, you can show, and then we'll get into maybe some of the concepts of silence, and then talk about what we want to do with leadership, and then we can sign off after that. You got any swag you can show at all?
I mean, I'm wearing one of my Silencio t-shirts. I also have one of our patches on my ball cap.
Yeah, Fred, stand up a little bit, or check out this shirt, man. This is the coolest shirt ever.
My mic down.
Yeah, no worries. Sorry, man. So this is red, white, and blue. Look, that is a beautiful shirt. It's on a navy blue. Beautiful logo, man. So check that one out. And then I've got the green one here. Yep. And he's got the Starbucks joke. It's the kind of the mermaid with guns.
I love coffee and death.
Yeah, and then we've got some really awesome stickers. So he's got some great stickers. People love it. And, we do have people who they don't drink coffee. They will just buy stickers. They'll come up and buy stickers. And at their sticker table, that was a draw. I mean, we had passed out free stickers. People came up to the table.
I think 60, at least 60, maybe more than that percent of the coffee sales we had was because of your, I call it eye candy, the sticker display on our table, that people see that, they come up and they start conversating. Some of them had never, they're like, "Oh, you had to sell coffee too." I'm like, yeah, want to try some? We'd have samples of coffee, and they end up buying coffee.
Yeah, we've got some great looking stickers.
I got some.
You don't have to drink coffee, and the stickers are affordable, $3. I mean, some of them sell them $4.50, $6, but ours are $3, and they are cool. People put them on their water bottles, on their, foot lockers, on their doors, whatever.
I have them in plastic bags, so I'm not going to pull them out of the bags, but
yeah, you can see that one, Death Before Coffee, Death Until Coffee. That's a great one. I love that one there. So we've got a lot of great stickers. That one is a Glock with a mag and next to a coffee cup. So again, you might just drink and shoot. That's another thing.
This is one of my favorites. Is this this is it. I've got a roll right here. I'm just going to pull the roll up.
That's the other one I love. That's the mindfulness. That's the soldier he's thinking coffee over his head. It's got the thought bubble with a coffee cup in it. So, and we've got some new stuff coming out, and we'll show that off in the next couple episodes.
There's a lot of stickers. I could be here for a half hour.
Yeah. So, Fred and I, we had talked about guests, and my thoughts on that. Listen, I want to have guests on, but I don't want to talk about mission and operations and everything else unless it's related to our brand, which is Silencio. Again, we talk about that as the tactical awareness. It's not CQB. It's this sense that you have an opportunity for meditation and that you're taking advantage of downtime, because we don't get that so much. You hear about it, in life with Zen and the warrior spirit and the samurai. But we're gleaning some of that from them as well and bringing it from their culture into our culture. And this idea, because it's in America, right? This fast-paced culture, we're a capitalistic society. We run out there, we make lots of money, but we build things, but we never sit down to take time. And I don't want to be like the French or the, Spanish, where they're speaking, 1 to 2 or 3 hours of lunch or whatever. And that's cool too. You could do that. But for us dude, just take 15 minutes out of your day. Right.
Yep, exactly.
So if we have guests, we're going to select them. We'd love to have you reach out to us if you think you have something valuable to say in that space. And it doesn't have to be a veteran. You don't have to be a Ranger or a Marine or anything. We're happy to talk to anyone in that space, whether it's mindset or combatives, but really related to food, drink, and being very aware. If you're a writer, an author, we'd love to talk to you. And talk, even a script writer, movie maker, anything. Fred, didn't you have a guest that you were going to bring on?
Yeah. So, I'm not sure if we're going to have him as our first guest. I don't want to make that assumption, but a man that just started working as a contractor. So a little background, Mike and I both have full-time jobs. We don't just sell coffee. We'd like to get to the point where the coffee sales can support our lifestyles and pay our bills, but we're not there yet. We're a very small startup. So at my full-time job, I work for a military unit. I am a contractor, and we have a few other contractors that have similar backgrounds. And this new gentleman started, and he invited me to come help him out with his youth group. They meet on Monday nights, and it's a pretty interesting group of young men. Their ages, I think he said 12 to like 18 or something like that. Teenage, adolescent, and they meet once a week. The first thing they do is a physical event, like a short ruck march, a trail run, or they move weighted obstacles from point A to point B. Then they have like a devotional period where they talk about some scripture. Then his wife puts out a spread of food. They all eat and joke around and whatever together. And then they do some kind of skill craft or some kind of training or class. I guess you could call it a class where like it could be map reading, land navigation, how to tie knots, how to drown proof yourself with the clothing you have on. Different tasks every week. It's different. So it's pretty interesting. And I got invited along with some of the other contractors I work with to come help out with these young guys. So I would like to bring him on maybe as our first guest. I don't know. We'll have to.
Yeah, that sounds good to me, man.
And I've got a list of people that I've been kind of hitting up and trying to get on here so we can have some different backgrounds and scopes to talk about.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. And again, guys, and gals, it's just the thing that we want to do more in Sell Coffee. You know, we want to talk about values, what's important in life. It's very important to make an impact. We want to speak about speaking in public, or what kind of books we read and our recommendations and things that we thought were important, what impacted, us. Like for me, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, fantastic book. There are a lot of great books. There are quite a few good books on Teddy Roosevelt, a lot of good books on T. Lawrence. And why should you read them? From my perspective and from Fred's perspective, maybe on shooting, maybe on hunting, talking about how to help people. How do you build a fire? How do you carve a turkey? How do you light a grill? Some people don't know. I know young men who don't even know how to put air in tires. I know young men who don't even know how to put, oil in their cars. So are we going to do a whole episode on that? No, but we're going to talk around this idea of leadership and taking point versus letting other people do it. We want to be involved in community. That's really important to me and Fred.
Mike, did you have, I know you sent me that list
Mm-hmm.
Of those points. Did you want
Yeah.
to touch on that now, or are we waiting to do that?
No, I think we'll do another episode on that. But go ahead. If you had some thoughts on it, go for it.
Oh,
Man.
it just popped in my head when you were talking about
Yeah.
teaching guys how to change the oil or put air in their tires.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just life skills, common life skills that are helpful, especially in times of crisis or catastrophic events where you might need to, help people and you're more helpful if you know these skills for the community that you're in, so forth. So.
Yeah, well, and that's good, Fred, which is our guest that we're going to have. So we've had before on another podcast, a prepper, very well spoken and knowledgeable, and that's important. So we'll do different episodes with different guests talking about those points. And I'll give you a very good example. One of the guys I know in the Bronx, man, during Snowmageddon, I think it was 2009, if I recall, he said this is not about the zombie apocalypse and the end of the world. This is about the fact that it snowed so badly he could not get diapers and water and food for his family because the ATMs were shut down. All the electrical was out. And unless you had cash, you could not get gas, you could get diapers, you could not get water, and there was a long line. So talking about that, this is just about common sense. A lot of it, what we're talking about is just common sense things that you need to be aware of: how to grow something, how to iron a shirt, how to manage money. And so we'll have different guests talking about those different things, but it's all again tied into listening and being aware versus talking all the time, letting someone else speak and learning from that person and getting some great information out of these guests, right?
There's a saying that I sometimes regurgitate to people: always be a student. You're always being a student, or try to always be a student. Always learn from your experiences with other people and different skills that they may have, because you never know when you may need that. Look at this recent hurricanes we had here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
In the western portion of the state, in the mountains, literal towns were wiped out by flooding and swift moving water from the rain from the hurricane.
Yeah, I was listening to the radio and they said 8,000 private roads and bridges were wiped out. 8,000. So who's going to fund that? State? I mean, who's going to pay for that? Who's going to fix that? 8,000. And they can't drive on these things to get help to these people. So as Fred was saying.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So go ahead, Fred. Any other point, man? I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh, no. That's what I was going to say. I know a lot of guys that went out there to help with the aid and help bring relief, because the government was providing zero relief, at least for the initial week or two. Then they started, FEMA started chiming in and everything. And it was pretty ugly out there. They were pulling bodies out of trees for like weeks It was horrible.
So that's an important thing, and that's about community as well. I definitely want to get into community, talking about that. So important, man, is to help people. And we are still looking for, a legit 501c to donate any of our profits to. And we want to find alignment with those who think like us, and even those who don't think like us but are still doing good. So that's something we'll cover. Now, if you don't know, let's go through our website real quick. All right. So our website is silenciocoffeeco.com. And if you go there, it will tell you a little bit about us, what our, mindset is. You will find a catalog of our goodies. There's a contact form. You can hit me up there. And then we have a blog. And I want to, cover down on the blog as well, because we do a lot of writing. And you'll find the blog, and it's interesting because there are articles on fitness, on history, how to make coffee, coffee and cinema, which is one of my favorites. And so if you go online, you'll find, for example, there's a coffee scene in the movie The Children of Men, and that's a fantastic scene where he is buying coffee, right? There's another one, Moscow on the Hudson, where Robin Williams, who is Russian, comes to America and then goes into, and this had happened. This had happened in real life to, what was his name? Gorbachev. Gorbachev and Riza Gorbachev had come to 7-Eleven, and they were blown away by how many aspirins and other medicines that you could get. So there's a fantastic scene in the movie Moscow on the Hudson where Robin Williams comes in and he is overwhelmed. He has a mental breakdown because there's so much coffee selection. There's like 50 brands on the shelves. So there are a lot of articles that we have on there. There's, again, Glenn Ross, The Coffee is for Closers. I've got a blog on that, The History of Violence. So we cover down. So, we want to be very informative. And we just love coffee movies, man. We love anything that has to do with coffee. I mean, Fred, what do you think about that, man? Any thoughts?
Yeah, the Glenn Ross, that's one of my favorite scenes of all time in the movie. Coffee is for Closers. When I was in the Army, I got picked up for the recruiter detail. So I did recruiting for 3 years. And when I was going through the Army recruiter course, they showed that clip to our class, the Coffee is for Closers scene with Alec Baldwin. And it was pretty funny. Like I still remember it. Every time I hear that, I kind of chuckle to myself. So great movie. Great.
Yeah.
Scene.
Great movie, hilarious. I remember seeing it as a young man. I said, this movie's crazy. This movie's absolutely crazy. I'm like, this is probably real. Like, this is how they treat a lot of people in sales. But and also, we got articles on the military and coffee, right? You again, Red Ball Express, right? Patton's Red Ball Express. I mean, they had to fuel these people with coffee and gas, and wars were won. Even Napoleon, right? The Napoleonic Wars, his men didn't move but on their stomachs, and he had to find a way to how to pasteurize food and instead of put them in bottles. But a lot of stories about coffee. So we've got that covered down in the military. Fred, I'm going to move down to really a kind of rituals, and then we'll close out the show. But you have any thoughts on our website? Any thoughts on movies, cinema, or anything else I didn't cover?
I was looking at the blog side, blog page, and some of the cinema entries. You have a page under the blog for how to make, right? How to select the best coffee mug, coffee brewing, the cold coffees. I want to add that I'm going to start doing some videos on YouTube. We'll post them here on our YouTube channel for different types of brews. I'm going to do a cowboy coffee. I plan on doing a French press. I normally drink French press every morning with my gunfighter blend. I'm also going to do a mocha pot. I don't think I need to do automatic drip machine. I think everybody's got that covered, but I'll do how-to videos on those for different, achieving better results, and different little tweaks you can do to the brewing process to help get a better cup of coffee. Best coffee ever, cowboy coffee. So when you see that one, you got to try it, because it's a game changer.
Yeah, I've learned quite a bit from Fred. I mean, he's an aficionado compared to me. And I said, listen, man, I love coffee, but I don't know as much as Fred. So I do pay attention and listen to what he says. I wrote a quote, and it was, it was, anytime you start thinking about killing a man, stop and have a good cup of coffee. You won't stop thinking about killing that man but at least you had a good cup of coffee. And that's kind of just our attitude. We love coffee. You know what I mean? Whatever's going through your mind, whatever your troubles are, your boss and you get into it, your wife, you have a disagreement, or your kids are taking a lot of your time and you don't get to work on your projects. At the end of the day, man, coffee is something that unites people. Coffee is something that you can do alone, and coffee is something that you can do with others. You go out for the coffee trip, like again with our kids for Christmas, you get everybody in the SUV, go out there, you get some coffee, or if you have some at home, sometimes we went to a coffee place yesterday. Well, let's talk about that. So my wife found this place, not going to name it. We went in there, and I'll tell you right now, we were blown away. Coffee was terrible. It tasted very chemically because, of course, the milk that they're using. The mugs were $60. I know what we pay for mugs. It costs. I know what we sell them for 25.
$60.
Yeah,
Wow.
$60 for the same mugs, right? $9 for this little tin of elderberries or something she had. I mean, just overpriced. And we went in there, bought it. I took a sip and I said, "This is disgusting. I won't even put it in a smoothie. I won't even finish this." And I like coffee, but it was made so badly. And it wasn't the barista's fault. I just think that's based on training, right? It's based off of how the manager trains them and how everyone else learns. But there's good coffee and bad coffee out there. But even just taking a trip with family to get coffee is an event. It's awesome. I love it.
Talking about good coffee, bad coffee, a lot of that is affected in the production when they how the coffee is produced in these factories, large batches of coffee. Like, so for instance, if you buy Folgers, right, that stuff is produced by the ton. And during the process, the beans mold. They get mold and fungus and different organisms growing on them. When you get this coffee and you brew this coffee with these mycotoxins, they're called, they have an effect on you both mentally and physically, and you can feel the difference. If you drink a cup of mass-produced coffee, a couple cups, whatever, you feel differently than if you get like a good organic bean or a small batch roaster coffee and you drink some of that, and it's a world of difference. And the things that you add, not just how the coffee is produced, but the things you add to your coffee can also affect your mental cognition and your physical performance, i.e. sugar, creamers, artificial creamers, powders, chemicals, all that stuff has if you read the label and you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't put it in your body. And I'm not trying to get on my nutrition pedestal, but I saw an opportunity, so I'm going to do it anyways. I don't know if you've heard of bulletproof coffee. That's kind of how I drink mine. I'm more of a keto coffee guy, because let me give you the background on or the story, the short version. I drank in my heyday. I drink less now, but I would drink 5-6 cups of coffee. I drink coffee all day long if I could. I would drink it at night. I would go to Dunkin' on the way home from work and I'd get a large coffee and drink it in the evening. That affects your sleep cycle. It's horrible what it does to your sleep. Drinking, because the half-life of caffeine. We'll talk about that at another time. But I was putting sugar. I liked it creamy and I liked it sweet. So I put 2 teaspoons of sugar in a regular size cup with milk or cream. And I was doing that 5 or 6 times a day. You're talking about like maybe 15 teaspoons of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. So I started looking at it. I'm like, wow, I'm consuming tons of sugar. I need to readdress this. So I started looking at artificial sweeteners, and there's all different kinds, different chemicals, and they're all bad for you, just in different ways, a little more differently than sugar, right? Some affect your brain, some affect your nervous system. All that aside, I started doing a little more research and digging deeper for like a way to have coffee that I enjoyed it. Cause I don't like black coffee. I'll drink it if I have to, but I don't like it. And I came across this book called The Bulletproof Diet, and coffee specifically. The author, Dave Asprey, I read his book, and he went to the Himalayas and did an expedition out there. And the Sherpas were making this tea where they would use what's the name of the animal? It's like a cow.
The yak
Butter. He was
right. Oh yeah.
Butter in their tea. I don't think they were using any sweetener, but it was really creamy and frothy. They would blend. I don't think they'd blend it, but they'd whip it up with some kind of implement. And he loved it. He's like, "This is awesome." So he tried that with coffee. When he got back to the States, he tried it with different fats, different medium chain triglyceride oils, and he ended up using butter and some coconut oil. And it's kind of along the keto. He was a big keto guy, ketogenic diet guy.
Mhm.
But I tried it. I butter, and it's kind of one of those things where like, ooh, butter and coffee, I don't know, but I'm going to try it. And I did, and it was the best coffee I've ever had. Never touched sugar again in my coffee. I don't put cream because I don't need to, because you have that in
Mhm.
the butter. And then I also use the MCT oil in there, which has other health benefits as well. But yeah, that's how I do my coffee now, more like a keto style or butter coffee.
Very cool. I think I'll have to shift on that. I mean, I drink coffee no matter what, mostly black. My wife got me into doing, milk and some cream, a little topper. Like I had some today twice, and I'll go get some tea for late night for relaxing. But yeah, for sure, man. So let's talk about the importance of coffee for us, and I want to get into this idea of rituals. And I'm a big nerd. I love books. Um, there's this famous poem by the famous poet T.S. Eliot, and in there he says, shall I roll my, basically his pants, and should he measure his life by, the coffee spoons? And really, it's this idea of living wastefully, and living existentially, and living life and not being involved, being so aware of everything, but doing nothing. Coffee, like tea, we talk about the tea rituals, there is this sense of stability. Now, what is a ritual? A ritual is basically type of action that is done over and over again. That action could be something as simple as lighting a candle. It could be something that could be taken in a holy or sacred manner, like a funeral rite, funeral passage, but it could be something as simple as every night you take a shower. That's a ritual. Every night you light a candle. Every night you have coffee. Or every morning, you check your tires or check the oil in your car. Some of it's being very intentional, and some of it is unintentional. And I think a lot of times life can surprise you when it's unintentional. When sometimes you're forcing the issue and you're just trying to smash everything and control everything, you lose all sense of stability because you're out of control. So a lot of it is really that unintentionality, is not being intentional. And so a ritual is something that acts as an anchor. And coffee, when you have it, gives us that sense of control with making coffee, but we're not trying to control others. But we're just trying to find this familiarity amidst this chaos. So in that morning rush, the act of making coffee, it's a comforting and predictable routine. And that is signaling, in a sense, the beginning of a new day, right? Because you've seen these old commercials where Folgers like, good to the last drop. They make that coffee. And I just saw another commercial the other day. This is the nanny, and she's angry, and then they give her, the coffee, and she's at peace. So it's kind of that process of grinding beans. And I want Fred to talk about this. Is this his process? Grinding beans, boiling the water, savoring the aroma, right? Allowing us to keep ourselves grounded, even as we are grounding coffee, and creating that space of calmness. Fred, what are your thoughts, man?
So my ritual every morning, and it starts with cracking that bag open.
Mm-hmm.
I grind my coffee every morning, so I'll open my bag, and when that aroma hits your nose, man, that is the best part of waking up, right? It's not Folgers, so getting that aroma, and that just sets the tone for the day.
Yeah.
Put the beans in the grinder, grind them coarse, of course, because I'm using a French press. Then I'll boil the water. That takes a little while. My wife gives me a hard time because she's like, it takes so long to make coffee the way you do it. She's into the little Nespresso pods and the little convenient things. It has that
Right.
horrible stale coffee that's been
Yeah.
in plastic containers
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
probably 6 months or whatever. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Residue. Yeah.
so I give her a hard time about it all the time. So I was like, well, part of it for me isn't just the coffee, it's the process, it's the ritual,
Yeah.
like you say, of making it and preparing it. Cowboy coffee, even more of a ritual. I love doing it on a campfire. It's like there's nothing like it. It sets your mind at peace and at ease. But I boil the water. I grind the beans. I preheat the French press with some boiling water, and then I dump that. I pour the coffee in, dump the water in, hit the timer. 4 minutes later, it's done. I pour it, drop in my butter, my oil, blend it. Better than. Well, I won't say that, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
my morning ritual every single morning. Even if I'm on the road, I have a little Pelican case, and I pack up my little hand blender and all my French press and all that stuff. It all goes with me.
Well, I'm going to confess, I don't make my own coffee. I make it at work, but I don't make it at home. And so it's a different process entirely. I mean, I just put it in the the coffee maker, make it for everybody else in the same cubicles. But at home, my wife is a provider. She makes it. She loves to cook and get coffee. And for me, I'm like a little kid. I'm like, man, I can't wait. This is awesome. My wife's going to make it, and she knows how I like it. So she does that for me. But it doesn't mean that if someone else makes it, that you're out of luck, that you're not able to enjoy all of the things that come with making coffee. But again, talking about rituals, it's just idea of the opportunity for mindfulness and self-care, which is Fred is talking about that, this idea of self-care, because he's taking care of himself and he's taking his time and you're being fully present in the moment, right? So as you're engaged in that process of making coffee, you're boiling the water, you have the sensory experience, you're smelling the coffee, you are hearing that sound of the boiling water, and it sounds like weird to some people, like, what is he talking about, boiling water? And you just listen to the sound? No, man, I'm telling you, it's this mindful engagement. Yeah. And that the ritual grounds us. It actually takes us in the present so we can cultivate the sense of gratitude for the simple pleasures of life. That's really what it comes down to. Making coffee is so you are happy and that you can enjoy the simple things, right?
There's definitely a psychological effect
to
it.
Yeah, for sure.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So whether you're getting coffee from wherever your favorite maker is, whether it's Starbucks or Dunkin' or whatever, 7-Eleven, if you like that coffee, go for it. We want you to like our coffee. We want you to buy our coffee. We want you to check it out. We would love for you to subscribe. And that's another thing. So I'll put a little plug in. We would love to get you to subscribe. Check us out. I think you're going to like us. I think you're going to like our products. I hope you're going to like us as people and the content we're going to create. And again, our goal is to foster the sense of connection and community. When we make coffee, and that's our love of sharing that cup of coffee with our loved ones, we're also doing it in a way with our community. Fred are very community driven. We're people who believe in brotherhoods. We're people who believe in. Let's talk about that too. Fred and I we try to be men of our word. We try to keep our word. And I trust Fred. Fred trusts me. If he says something, and I'm learning more about Fred all the time. If Fred says something, I believe it's true. And I know it's true because why? Indicators. He's shown me to be a reliable person, an honest person. And so we want that attitude to bleed out into the community, which is to be a real person, to be an honest person. We want our company to be that too. You create those moments of camaraderie. You create those moments of brotherhood with that coffee. And let's talk about it, Fred. I mean, how did we meet? I remember how we met. Do you remember how we met at all and how we connected?
The first time we met face to face was at the ADS West, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct. It was California. So for those who don't know, ADS is Atlantic Diving Supply, and they started out, I think it was a Buds guy or maybe a Navy SEAL. He's doing diving equipment in the 1960s, and it grew into almost a multi-billion dollar brand. So like $1.5 billion, and they represent about 5,000 companies. So they sell anything from iPro, EarPro to vehicles to whatever the military needs. Fantastic brand. And Fred and I met out there. He was repping a brand, and I was writing articles for ADS. I was blogging for them. They had invited me to write some articles, and we just kind of talked, and we stayed in touch probably, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago. It's been a while.
Might be longer than that.
Longer than that. 2015. What is that? 16? It's a long time. Holy cow. Yeah, time flies. But so that's how we met, and we just kind of had this shared similar attitude about life and people and things. And we've tried to strengthen our relationship by working together and figuring each other out. And again, coffee was a good way to do that. One day, Fred came on my podcast. I have another podcast, which is here, We Fight Monsters, and we said that we want to do something. And I had asked Fred what that was. And he said, I would like to do something to help other people. in leadership, because he's quite good at that. Because if he's doing shooting or CQB, he does a lot more because he's well versed. He's not just a guy who's just all about action, but Fred is a guy who has a lot of strengths and he's well versed. And so I agreed. I said, yeah, helping people grow as people is very important to me. And the other thing is, we started talking about like, what kind of products can we do? We said coffee, and coffee, if I understand, is the entire demographic of coffee. Only 3% is run by veterans. Very small market.
It's small,
very small, but we love coffee, and that was something that we could foster a sense of brotherhood, but also a product that we both liked and said, okay, I could live with that. I mean, I don't want to go sell widgets and just make widgets all day long. At the end of the day, I would be happy. So this is how we started Silencio Coffee. Any type of ritual, it's a thing that you do that in a sense connects you to your roots and your heritage, which is your family. That's a tradition. It becomes a tradition that you pass on to your family. They know that dad or Fred or, Mike pass it on to his kids, and they just remember, they can say, I remember my dad used to have a coffee while I was driving. Every day he'd have to get a coffee while he's driving his truck, that type of thing. So there are these elaborate Ethiopian coffee rituals and the Japanese tea rituals I've talked about, but these embody the values and customs of a community, and that's kind of our goal. I've talked a lot about it, and I want Fred to jump in if he wants, but really for me, Silencio as a brand is, I'll make a summation here. We want to be a brand that is very thoughtful, a brand that is very cool, chill vibes. We don't need to put out all these crazy videos and all this other stuff. We want you to kind of discover us and discover life as well while you're on this journey. What we're doing coffee is really that get away from the noise, get away from all the psyop, all the garbage marketing, and people tell you to be this way, dress this way, think this way. Even as a veteran, this is what a veteran is. This is what a veteran is not. Yeah, no, that is not me and Fred, man. We want you to figure out, like, what do I really know? I mean, everything I've been told, I want to shift my thinking. And so that's kind of our goal, is Fred and I want to drive you a certain way to say, well, consider this. You're a free person. Consider that ours is about honor, tradition, culture, mindfulness, and awareness. Fred, man, any thoughts on anything I shared?
Yeah, when you talk, all kinds of random thoughts pop in my head. I'd like to touch on maybe kind of like our parts, yours and mine, in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you said, I concur with 100% as usual, right? But so I guess like your side of it, you're more like the marketing and the logos and the artwork and the any kinds of verbiage or phrasing, where I'm more like the taster and the let's go with this bean or this roast. And sometimes I make silly jokes, right? I know we talked about, you just mentioned not being loud. I'm a veteran. We don't make the explosion videos with girls in bikinis and machine guns and all that. I mean, some of that stuff can be fun at times.
Yeah, it can be funny for sure.
But I guess I'll be the comedic relief guy, but I'm more like the actual drinker of coffee. Hey, let's go with this bean. I like this bean better than this bean, or this over this roast. Working with those roasters and that kind of thing, because you're definitely all over the cool stickers and the marketing and the.
Yeah, I think Fred, you are very knowledgeable. I have learned how knowledgeable, because I remember we talked when we first started doing this. And I said, I am not well versed. I like coffee, but I learned a lot from you, that you really get into nutrition and fitness, and you're kind of nerdy, which is kind of cool, because some people just exist. And I think like you really have passions for things like hunting and shooting, and you are well versed in it. You get well. Let's talk about it. I mean, Fred is a former, small mission unit guy, right? He was a Green Beret, and you can check out that podcast. I'll put the link below so you can check it out. But Fred is a very knowledgeable guy. So where some people, they have maybe 50 things that they enjoy, Fred has a handful of things that he's really freaking good at, and coffee is one of them.
Yeah, I like. I mean, if we're going to talk about our kind of personal lives a little bit, or hobbies or interests, like outdoors. I was an avid rock climber
Mhm.
when I was younger. I'm a little bigger now, not as agile as I used to be, but I still enjoy climbing. But like all the outdoor stuff, hiking, fishing, camping. I love shooting.
Yeah.
Love shooting. I love teaching people how to shoot. I love it all. I love the ranges. That's kind of my bread and butter, but that's not all I do. I enjoy doing other stuff. I'll enjoy working with young people. I've worked with guys that want to go on to become a ranger or a green beret or
Mhm.
whatever Navy SEAL, and train them and did some physical events with them. And you know what? I enjoy doing that stuff. I love giving back to the new younger generation. That's what I do for my full-time job. I teach the young guys now that are active duty what I used to do to, with also a lot of luck is why I'm sitting here today. But because of some of those skills, I still sit here today, and I
Yeah,
enjoy it.
and we're going to lean on that a lot. So when Fred jokes and says he's just a coffee taster, that's not true at all because Fred does a lot more. I mean, he definitely gave me some constructive criticism on some of the things we should do as marketing. Because let's talk about Fred, and we'll talk about. Well, let me get this point across. We'll talk about Fred a little bit, but I have lots of ideas, and sometimes they're just dumb. I come up with 100 ideas and 99 suck, but that one idea might be pretty good. And I'll go to Fred and say, "What do you think?" And Fred's like, "No." And he's like, "That's common sense, man. I mean, common sense empiricism." He knows like that makes no sense. Let's not do that. Let's not do that sticker or whatever, or those beans aren't particularly good. And I don't have that distinct palate as Fred does, right? Some people can taste food a certain way and they can taste the salt and the sweet. I can't always do that. So I lean on Fred for that. But I'll joke, Fred is the action guy, but I am going to lean on him a lot because when it comes time to handling a knife and a gun, and he has ideas about safety, protection, and what is sport and what is hunting. I mean, he could tell you the difference or how to skin an animal. I'm going to lean on Fred because he knows a lot of that, and I don't do that. I'm more of a city boy, and I don't do a lot of it. But I'll talk about things I know, like ironing a shirt. I can tell you how to do that. I can tell you how to manage money as it pertains to leading young men. But Fred has some exceptional skills for all his years in the military. And so I'm going to lean on him a lot for that.
I think you left out a big portion of one of your traits is writing, which
Mhm.
is definitely not one of my.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely, man. So I think, guys, that you'll find out a lot more about us as we move along with the shows, that we both have strengths and weaknesses. We have friendship that we are discovering every day and learning more about each other. And that's great. Um, but we want that to be a reflection of our company, that the company is really just helping people. So I'm about ready to sign off. Are there any points that I didn't cover, man? Anything you want to talk about for the next show, and maybe today what I didn't finish or what I should have started?
I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head, my friend. I would like to say to all the listeners, please, guys, give us a subscribe, give us a like, dislike, whatever, leave a comment, because all of that input
Yeah.
helps us. That helps build this channel, and it'll allow us to bring in a better spectrum of guests as well as topics and different things. Because we've got, right now it's a dream. So we have all these visions flying around in our brains that I really want to put into action and make it real. So definitely give us your support, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, the bell, everything. Do it all, please, now.
Yeah, Fred's right. Leave a comment, man, even if it's a nasty comment, but be constructive about it. We are not thin-skinned. Fred and I, we don't care, man. We're not going to go home and cry in the pillow because you said something naughty,
You should
about
see
me.
my Instagram. I get some haters, but
Yeah.
what are you
That's
gonna do?
funny. Yeah, it is funny. What are you gonna do? I get haters too, and it's particularly funny when they're telling me something I actually know about because it came out of my brain and it was my idea, and they're telling me that's not what I thought. I'm like, well, how would you know? That's my thought. But hey, if it's based in fact, cool. If it's based in evidence, based in empirical knowledge, cool. But guys, leave some type of constructive criticism. We're cool with that, man, because we learn. If you say that coffee, I didn't like the flavor, or I didn't like the bags, why don't you have a different price? Giveaways. Why aren't you guys doing giveaways and blah, blah? You didn't do this right. Let us know. We're not thin skinned. We don't care. Go ahead, Fred.
That's what I meant to mention, that like the feedback is crucial
Yeah.
to help us shape this and build this thing. Any kind of feedback constructive criticism, what have you. Yeah, I love the Comcast or, whatever. It sucks. I don't like it. I need I need a little more nuttier bean, or I need a little more smokier bean or something like that. Let us know, man. We're going to expand this thing and grow it in accordance to what the customers want.
Yeah. So, guys, please like, share, subscribe. I'll put all the notes down below. You can click on, see where to buy our coffee, where to find us on social media. Again, we are going to have guests on. So we would like for you, if you're listening, if you are subscribing, please let us know some guests that you would like us to talk to. If you have any links to them, or if you have someone in your network that shoot off a name to us. DM us on social media, on Instagram, and I'll get it. Or Fred, you have our handles. I'll put that in the notes as well. And we'll talk about anything. As far as the future, live, we're definitely going to have live episodes. And we would love to have people on there, and we will talk about everything that we can. The things that we cannot talk about, we just won't. It's not because we don't want to, but it might be there's just a reason. We don't want to speak disparagingly about other brands as well. That is not our vibe. So I hope you tell everybody about who we are, and you'll get to know more about us as well. We'll talk about our lives, our history, our experiences, some of the skills we have, some of the things that we don't have, some of the blanks, some of those blank areas that we haven't experienced, but we'd like to hear from you guys, and maybe we can learn. Maybe you guys have a better way of making coffee, or maybe you have an idea. But that's all I got for the show, unless, Fred, you got anything, man?
No, sir. Well
all
said.
Right.
And thank you for your time, and everyone out there, thank you for listening. Hope to see you soon.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for watching our first episode on Silencio Coffee, and we will check you out. God bless you all.